Magician Eddie Ray, and I wanted to make this video as a teaching aid for those of you who bought the floating dollar trick, floating card trick, or any trick using invisible thread. Many of you who are just starting out in magic or just starting out in thread work might have questions on how to strip the thread and how to use it properly. So most likely you have a playing card with the thread wrapped around for easy access. Notice there is one end that is taped. That will stay taped until you get to the very end of the thread in its use. But for now, you'll see that the thread is made up of many, many fine strands. There's about 7 to 15 strands that you actually will see if you look really closely. From far away, it looks like one solid strand, but if you look close, there's actually 7 to 15 small strands that make up this one strand. So you have to separate one of those out to do a trick with it. And that's the setup part of the trick. So you're going to unwind several feet here. For the floating dollar trick, you maybe only need between 3 and 5 feet, depending what you're going to be using for an anchor point. And place this down. You come to the top end here and pinch it, thumb and finger. Now if you're doing this over top of a table, I recommend putting a white piece of paper down. That way you can actually see what you're doing, because a single strand you pull out of here will be very, very invisible, or nearly invisible, and so tiny it will be very hard to see. I'm going to pull one of these out. You can kind of see it's fraying at the edges here at the top, so you just want to find one strand and hold on to it. Once you get that, hold on to it with your thumb and index finger. Make sure the camera can see this. Other fingers pull down, inch by inch, like this. Alright? So you have a little bit of one other part of the strand exposed. Take some tape and wrap the tape around that top end. So now you have a bit of an anchor point several times, and you can tape this to a wall or to an object just for now, so that you can help strip the rest of the thread away. Pull back with your fingers little by little, and you'll actually be separating that one strand out from the rest. You'll keep going until you have enough exposed for you to do the trick with. So we'll get about 3 or 4 feet here. And if we need more or less tension, just unwind more from the card. So little by little here. Now my card's actually on the floor, so I'm just going to do it by stripping here little by little. Again, use your fingers every couple inches to tease down, otherwise you'll get the thread tangled. Little by little with your fingers. This takes some time, but it's worth the setup. Now that we have our length, another piece of tape. Again, I'm going to use like the clear transparent tape. I'm going to use about maybe a 1/4 inch piece. Tape it, wrap it around the other end of the thread a little bit. I actually lost it here. There we go. That's why I said you should do this over top of the table. With a piece of paper, it'd be a lot easier. But once you get the end, wrap it in that piece of tape. So now you have a length of thread. Pull this tape off here between 2 pieces of tape, and that's virtually invisible. The camera doesn't pick it up unless you go really in on it here, and you can't even really see that. This thing was playing with nothing here. There's a length of thread here. Alright? The other thing you want to do, put that away for a second, is take your thread back and wind it back around the card. So next time, pull that taut, so there's no tangles in it. Next time you can access the thread just as easy. Put it back in a little notch, and you're good to go. And you see again, the strands of thread, they're only using one strand. So now the setup for the floating dollar bill trick. We're going to use just a piece of paper to represent the dollar bill. Okay, and our pieces of tape. You can see what works best for you. If you have a button-down shirt, you can put the tape on a button, on your belt buckle. I'm just going to place the tape on top of one button here on my shirt. The other end of tape will actually go over here, and I'll have it on top of my little drawer here so you can see. So now we have an anchor point. One end from here, one end from here. So as you're talking with people at a party or something like that, you could be talking, having your food and drink and such, and at the proper time, conversation, you're talking, put the tape down, kind of lean on the object or whatever on the table, or there's a glass in front of you, or a pack of cards, place the tape on that. You want a very direct route from one end of the thread to the other, though. Alright, make sure it's pretty well parallel to the ground, too. Do not make it up or down on one side or the other. Take your dollar bill underneath the thread, and just crumble the bill or the paper, whatever you're using, around the thread. Lay in your hand. Now remove your hand. And now your object is floating. Again, don't float it for too long. Just a couple seconds. Catch it. Undo the bill or the paper. You can borrow the bill or the paper. Hand it back out, and you're done. You can break the thread off at this point. You can walk away. That's the easy cleanup. If you want to reuse your thread at the proper time, of course, just peel off the tape and be able to anchor it somewhere else. But you got plenty of thread here to last you probably 10, 12 times or more if you work with it properly. So that's just some basic information for you. Again, watch out for very bright lights, or also wearing white-colored or light-colored clothing in front of you. Otherwise, you might give the thread away a little bit. And do not float the objects for too long. Thanks very much. I hope this helps. Go to magictrickpro.com for more information.